episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. My name is Hannah, and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting and sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. How are you? It has been 2 weeks. If you are a new viewer, I want to say a huge hello and welcome. And if you are coming back, you know I love you. Thanks for being here. I'm so happy that you come to spend a little bit of crafty time with me. I have a lot to talk about. I mean, when do I not have a lot to talk about? Let's be honest. But I really do, you guys. So grab some tea or whatever you want to drink, grab your project, and let's get started. If you are looking for me on the interweb, the best place to find me is on Instagram or Facebook as The Cozy Cottage Crochet. And on Ravelry, I am The Cozy Cottage because Ravelry has a character limit on your username. So I couldn't be The Cozy Cottage Crochet. But there are links to those directly down below. We also have a Ravelry group for this podcast, which is linked below. And that is where you can find information about all of our crochet alongs and make alongs that are going on. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, inquiries, anything to do with the podcast specifically, please shoot me an email. That is the best way to get a hold of me. I have an email address specifically set up for this podcast channel, and it is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. Okay. I am drinking some blackberry bubbly. I was drinking this before there was a Super Bowl commercial about it, okay, because I'm cool. Actually, fun story. True story? I don't know if this is a fun story. It's just something that's true. I used to hate sparkling water, like with a passion. But my husband decided that he liked it, so I kept trying it, and now I'm kind of obsessed. The mango one is my favorite, but this one, so good. I have a giveaway winner to announce. That's right. If you stuck around until the very end of the last episode, there was a surprise giveaway, and it was for this bag. It says Let It Snow. It's got polka dots on the inside, and it does have a little pocket on the inside, although you can't tell because it's the same polka dot fabric. And it's got these blue ribbons. I sewed this bag, and there was a surprise giveaway at the end of the last podcast, and all you had to do was respond to a question that I posed, and so I have drawn a winner through a random comment picker. The person who has won, I will put your name on the screen. Please shoot me an email to thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. Your name is ZJ, I think _ and then star Jane star Goodwin. That's you. If that's you, please shoot me an email and I'll comment on your comment down below, but I don't have another way to get a hold of you. So I will give you 2 weeks to get back to me, and if you don't get back to me in 2 weeks, then I will pick another winner. But the prompt was to tell me a person of color who has made a difference in your life, in the crafting community, or just in your regular life, and she named a lot. So I'm going to list them all for you. She says that she looks forward to each new episode from Caleisha, who is the author of the Quirky Monday podcast, which you guys know I love her. Ramona from But I'm Knitting. I haven't heard of that one. Jamie from Knitting All the Way. Denise, Earth Tones Girl. That is a fabulous podcast. You need to check it out if you haven't. Rel from The Dabbling Hook. And Lynn from The Wayward Skein. So that's pretty awesome. She also said some other lovely things. So Jane, please get in contact with me and I will get this in the mail to you. I will need your full name and your address. You have won this bag. And also, I have decided to pop in these 2 sparkly skeins of Vanish Choice yarn. You can definitely see the sparkle. This is the colorway Topaz. Does that look like a topaz? What does a topaz look like? I should have paid attention in geology. So anyways, you have won this. I'm very excited. Please get in touch with me and I will get that in the mail to you right away. And before we jump into what I have been making, I have another giveaway to announce. I know, crazy. So we have currently 2 crochet along make-alongs going on at the moment. One is the Love Your Stash Cow, which is going until February 28th, the last day of February. The only rule to participate in this make-along is that you use yarn from your stash. You are not allowed to buy any new yarn unless you are making a gigantic project like a sweater or a blanket and you need one more ball. So whips count because they're part of your stash. So there are tons and tons of entries in the Love Your Stash Cal chatter thread and finished objects thread, and even on Instagram as well using the hashtag. So there are some amazing prizes, as you saw in the last episode, that have been donated, and I cannot wait to do those. So you still have time to join. It's only the beginning of February right now, so we're just over halfway. And there also is a year-long kind of informal sock make-along going on in my Ravelry group, which I will draw a prize for once a quarter. So will be 4 prizes for that. And there's some amazing socks, you guys. So go check that out. But what I want to say is, once the Love Your Stash Cal ends, I was going to take a break from doing crochet alongs because I didn't know what I was going to offer as prizes. But you guys are so incredibly generous that I think I have prizes for months, legitimately, as you saw in the last episode. So I love giving stuff away. I love to send yarn to people and send project bags. It's like, oh, it makes me so happy to spread the joy. So we are going to be starting a new cal. So Love Your Stash Cal ends on February 28th. This new cal will begin on March 1st, and it will go until the end of April. So April 31st. No, 30th. April only has 30 days. So it will go for 2 months, and this cal is going to be called Spread the Warmth Mal. It's going to be a make-along. I can't decide. Should it be Mal, M-A-L? I think I'm going to make that the hashtag, because I will allow you to do any craft that you want. And basically, my birthday is in April, the end of April this year. It's at the end of April every year. I don't know what I'm saying. My birthday is on April 23rd. I will be 30 this year in 2019. I'm gonna have a midlife crisis. No, I'm not. I'm not. I have everything I want in life. I have yarn, I have you guys. Like, what more could I want? What I would like us to do. So this time last year, we had another make-along for the, we had the Knitted Knockers crochet along. So we made essentially prosthetic breasts for people who have been afflicted with breast cancer. And we made almost 250, I think we made over 250 individual knitted knockers, and that was the best thing. So this year, I want to do a similar make-along where we make something for other people. And so this will be called Spread the Warmth Mal, and the only requirement is that you have to make a project and donate it. So we will be starting on March 1st. You can use any yarn. You can buy new yarn, you can use stash yarn, you can support any charity. You can knit, you can sew, you can weave, you can spin. I don't know if there's spinning charities out there that will take spun yarn. You can crochet, you can do any kind of craft as long as you are making something and donating it to a charity. And what I would love, I know this is kind of a crazy goal, but I think we can complete it since I will be 30, is that I would love to collectively as a group have all of us donate 300 individual objects to charity, to people who need it. And there are all kinds of charities. So there's Knitted Knockers, there's the Linus Project that takes blankets, there's all kinds of places that you can donate. Hospitals will take preemie hats. That is a wonderful thing to do with leftover sock yarn or leftover any yarn, is make hats for babies who are born prematurely. And I think, there's like 5,500 subscribers on this channel, and I totally think that we could make 300 things to donate and spread the warmth, because it's the best thing, right? So the giveaway for this podcast episode is you need to go to the Ravelry group, and there will be a thread, brand new, that you will see called Charities. And what I need you to do is, if you know of a charity that takes handmade items of any kind that you have worked with or that you have heard good things about, please go and comment in that thread and tell me what the charity is and provide a link to their website so that people can go and see what they take. Because I want there to be as many options as possible. And I know you may be sitting out there being like, I don't know, like the hospital is the only place I know that takes knitted and crocheted items. That's completely fine. I want to give you as many options as possible. So if you go and comment in that thread with a charity that you know of, I don't care if there's duplicates, it doesn't matter. Just comment with 1 or 10 that you know of so that people can have options. Then you will be entered into a drawing for these 2 skeins of yarn. Now, obviously this is pink. I actually don't know the fiber content of this yarn. It's definitely wool. It's a natural fiber, but this is hand spun. So this was given to me to use as a prize for the podcast. And she said I could keep it if I wanted to, but you guys know I'm a little bit sensitive to wool, so I have to be careful. I don't think this is merino. because it's a little bit prickly, although it may soften up with a wash. But I don't know how to spin. I would love to learn how to spin, but I do not want to drop spindle at all. Like if I'm gonna learn how to spin, it's gonna be on a spinning wheel. But this is hand spun, and it is so even. Like, how is this possible? So you will win these 2 skeins of pink hand spun yarn. This was lovingly made by a person, and there may be something else I pop into the prize as well. So if you would like to win this, then please go to the Ravelry thread. There will be a link directly down below, and tell me what is a charity that you love to support who takes handmade items, and that way on March 1st we can all be prepared. So please do comment down below if you are planning on joining in the Spread Your Warmth spread. I'm stumbling over my words today. Is that different than any other day? Probably not. If you are going to participate in the Spread the Warmth make-along, MAL, please comment below and let me know, because I would really, really love, I think that is the best gift I could possibly have, is to know that there are a lot of people doing things to spread the warmth and make the world a better place and a more cozy place. Okay, that is all the Cal news and administration. So let's jump in to finished objects. What am I wearing, you might ask? If you have been around a while, you will recognize that this is the Falling Ivy shawl. It is a pattern that I released last year. It is actually a crescent shape like this. And so once you put it on, it just stays. It doesn't go anywhere. And you don't have to use shawl pins or anything like that. This is a pattern that I released, I think, in September, possibly, last year. This is Sheep Happens yarn, which is a lovely, lovely indie dyer who is a crocheter, who is a member of this podcast community, and I know she watches this. And so she like actually tests her yarn to make sure that it's wonderful for crochet. She doesn't make any crazy variegated yarns that look ridiculous in crochet but great in knitting. No, she has the crocheter in mind. So I love, this is her 100% superwash merino DK. I love it so much. So the first finished object, you saw it last week, but I am here to tell you that the pattern is now live on Ravelry. As you are watching this, it just went live, and it is the Cotton Candy Slouch hat made out of Fat Bunny yarn. And you can see this amazing pink. Now, I showed 3 of these in the last podcast episode, but I, of course, had met up with Maria, who is the dyer behind Fat Bunny yarn, last week, and I gave her the 2 that were made out of these colors, because one of them's for her and one of them was for her to use as a shop sample, and she is actually potentially going to have a trunk show at my local yarn store coming up in April. So excited. So I actually took I made a pom-pom, which this yarn makes the most fluffy, amazing pom-pom in the world, but I was wearing this and it was like getting in the way because it was on the back of my head. So because I had just tied it with a bow, I actually undid it, but I'm gonna put it back on. So this is, does not match what I'm wearing at all, but do I care? No. This is the hat. It takes 1 skein of her bulky weight 2-ply merino superwash yarn. If you don't have access to her yarn because you live in another country or the shipping is prohibitive or something like that, you can totally just use any bulky weight that you want. You just need to check your gauge and go based on the measurements of your head and not the stitch counts in the pattern. And I have included instructions on how to do that. So don't write me and say that the stitch counts are too big. Just go on the measurements based on your head, because that is included very clearly in the pattern. I love this so much. Her website is now live, and you can buy your very own yarn. And I just want to say, I think this yarn is very reasonably priced. This is like 20 bucks for 1 skein of superwash 2-ply bulky weight merino. I have seen a lot of indie dyed yarn priced much higher than that, and I think this is a really good value for what you get. So this pattern is live, and you may think, but how much is it? Well, this is something I have been keeping under wraps as well. In fact, Maria doesn't even know this. I worked on this pattern because I wanted to support her, not because, like, I bought the original pink yarn for this pattern, and I want to say thank you to you guys. So normally when I release a pattern, they're like anywhere from $3.50 to $4.50, $4.50, and for the first week will give you a coupon code for $1 off. For this Cotton Candy Slouch, there isn't a coupon code because the pattern is just $1. It will always be $1. It will never go up in price. So you don't really need a coupon code because it's only $1. The reason that it's $1 and it's not a completely free pattern is because I did purchase that yarn. And also I have had the pattern tested and tech edited. So just in materials, the pattern cost about $60-ish, maybe a little more. I haven't got the bill for tech editing yet. But it's probably going to be about $40, $45 for the tech editing fees. Not including any time, which of course that's completely fine. So I want to say thank you to you guys for being such wonderful supporters of this podcast and of my designs. I have seen some amazing frost shawls that you guys have been working on, and it just makes me so happy every time I see a new project pop up. And if you have purchased one of my designs and made it, the thing that you can do that will help me more than anything else is just make a project page on Ravelry so that other people can see your interpretation of the pattern. So the cotton candy slouch, you won't need a coupon code for it. It will be just $1 US and it will always be that price no matter what. So I would rather you spend your money and support Maria than give me money for this pattern, because I really, really want to support her and I want to say thank you to you guys. So I feel like I'm rambling, but basically I will leave a link directly to the pattern and all of my crochet designs below. You can get it on Ravelry. Even if you don't have a Ravelry username, you should be able to purchase it with an email address. It will just be $1, and I cannot wait to see your cotton candy slouches. So exciting. But wait, I have two finished objects. Number one, I feel like 2 weeks ago was like an incredibly long time ago. I know it wasn't, but the last 2 weeks have been crazy. So I don't know that I showed this. I'm pretty sure I didn't show this on the last podcast episode. I have been making a baby blanket because I just know so many people that are pregnant or have had their baby or are about to have a baby. So I try to make baby blankets for people. It is generally very difficult for people to get me to make them things because I am busy and I want to keep everything I make. But I have a soft spot in my heart for babies. So I was making a baby blanket for a coworker, and actually their baby shower is tomorrow. So it's Friday for me. You'll be watching this on Saturday. So their baby shower is tomorrow, but I can't go because, excitingly, I am actually doing a wedding. So the rehearsal dinner is tonight, Friday, and then the wedding is tomorrow. And my husband's in the wedding, and I am actually performing the wedding, and it's for one of our closest friends. So it's such a privilege, and I'm very excited about that. So I can't go to the baby shower because there's something equally important. So what I have made, I found this yarn at Joann's. It is Premier Puzzle, and it looks like a 2-ply barber pole, but basically the yarn has already been plied. Like, I can tell that the plies have been plied before they were plied on themselves. Does that make sense? So this is the colorway Tangram, and it's this purple and green gradient. I bought 3 balls of this, and it's 100% acrylic, and you get 328 yards and 200 grams. So I generally make all of my baby blankets corner to corner because I don't like to make a ton of lacy things. I want it to be easy to use, easy to care for, and I don't want the baby's hands or feet or anything to get stuck in the holes and then to get all tangled up. So I finished it. This is it says it's a bulky weight yarn, a number 5. It's pretty, I would say it's a bulky, maybe it's a thick worsted, I don't know. It's beautiful. So I just started at one corner and kept going until I got through one entire ball, and then I started decreasing. And then I just put a very simple half double crochet border on, and first I went around and did 1 row of just single crochet so I would have something to crochet into, and then I did 4 rows of half double crochet. So it's pretty big. It's actually a little bigger than I normally make my baby blankets, but I think that's fine because of course she's gonna grow. So this only took, I don't know, it took me maybe 5 days to do this, and I loved working on it. And it's very soft and it is thick. It may be a little too warm for Florida, but I think that that's okay. So I really, really love it. The corner to corner technique is one of my favorite crochet techniques. As I said, especially for baby blankets, they work up so quickly. You can immediately tell when you're halfway out of yarn and just start decreasing. And yeah, I love this colorway and I highly recommend this yarn. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rest of this. Maybe I'll ball it up and put it in the giveaway pile because I don't know. Although I do have another baby blanket to make. Maybe I'll just buy more and make the same one. So that's finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 isn't finished because I haven't woven any ends. I know, don't judge me, I'll get there, okay? It is living in the best bag ever. It's Christmas flamingos made by Caleisha of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. And if you were here with me last time, you will know that this is a pair of socks. And Caleisha sent me, she made me that bag, and she also sent me some yarn that she hand dyed herself. So this is like Deborah Norville sock yarn that she hand dyed. So there's 50 grams. So what I did is I used a gray knit pick stroll for the toes, for the toes, heels, and cuffs. And last time I had this sock completely done, which I did on my work trip. That is how her yarn works up. So amazing. I did a fish lips kiss heel. The ends are woven in on this sock. But I have completed the second sock. And I was working on this just a few rounds each day because I wanted to make this last as long as possible, but these stripes are so addictive, I just couldn't stop working on it. And then last Thursday, I was at a all-day conference for like 8 hours where I was listening to speakers and like doing discussion and things like that. It was for my work. So I took this and I just knitted on this the entire time. I did the heel while I was there and I did the cuff and the bind off. I'm getting good at this, you guys. So yeah, this is the sock. That is a little stitch marker from Nerd Bird Makery, who is an incredible designer of tools for makers. So this is my, for the year of the sock, this is my 3rd pair. And this is my entry for March. I know it's only the beginning of February, but this is my entry for March into the Sock Theme Cal 2019 hosted by Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast. And the prompt for March is feeling lucky. Why is this my feeling lucky socks, you might ask? Well, number 1, because it's green. Number 2, because the yarn was dyed by Caleisha, who is a dear friend, and her husband's last name is Irish. Perfect. And because this is my first ever pair of contrast toes, heels, and cuffs on a sock. So that was pretty exciting. And because Caleisha does not sell her yarn. So I'm very lucky to have a 50-gram ball of it that will live with me forever. I don't even want to wear these socks. That's how special they are. And I am feeling lucky because I got to know Caleisha through this podcast and through her podcast, and she is a beautiful person, and I am eternally grateful for her friendship. And I know that's really sappy, but I feel incredibly lucky and incredibly blessed to know you, Caleisha. You make my life better, and these socks are the best thing in the world. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Maybe I'll make it into contrast toes, heels, and cuffs on another pair of socks. And then I'll have 2 pairs of socks to be feeling lucky about. So yeah, I gotta weave in the ends and I need to wash them. But they're done. That's my March socks. And I know at the beginning of the year, I was like, can I make 12 pairs of socks in a year? Is it even possible? It's possible. It's February, I've done 3 pairs. And I'm wearing wool socks right now, which is the best thing ever. So let's jump into works in progress. I have 4. I have 4 works in progress, a design in progress, and then 2 designs in progress that I started and then frogged immediately. We'll get to that in a minute. So let me start with, I'm going to start with the knitting works in progress because they're small, and then I'm going to go on to the crochet cardigans that I am working on. The first work in progress is just another sock. this yarn was dyed by Melody of the Melody Crochet Podcast, and she sent it to me last year as part of a swap that we did. So I don't know where I was on the last podcast episode. Maybe I was right here where I put the stitch marker. This sock last night, I was trying to work on crochet. I kept messing up my stitch count. I guess I was too tired. I don't know. So I put it away. So I picked up this sock and I was like, surely I can go around and around in a circle and do the heel on this sock. No. I eventually had to put the yarn down and just not do anything last night. Like, this heel, I will tell you, a heel takes me 1 hour to do generally. I've timed myself, so I know how long it takes. This half a heel took me an hour and a half, and I kept dropping stitches, and I don't know what was wrong with me, but eventually I just had to give up and be like, you know what? Tonight is not for the yarn. So these are my April socks. I don't know what the prompt is for April, but these are definitely my April socks. So those should be done. Those should definitely be done next time. I only have half a heel and then a cuff to do. That's like nothing. The next work in progress I have is I am doing a test knit. So you guys know that I generally do not test patterns, not because I can't, but because deadlines and me do not get along very well. I tend to be very scatterbrained with my deadlines. Oh my goodness, I'm all tangled up. I tend to be very scatterbrained, and if I have to work on something, I don't want to, which I know is terrible, but that's just how it goes. However, and also I don't test knit patterns because I'm not that great of a knitter. I knit socks and that's it. However, a viewer of this podcast who has tested many, many patterns for me, named Brittany, contacted me and asked me if I would like to review her new, or test her new cable cowl pattern. And at first I was like, I don't know, I've never done knitted cables. I don't know if I'm gonna get it done on time. I like hemmed and hawed about it. But it's a very simple pattern repeat. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And because it's a repeat, I can get my notes to her pretty quickly. In fact, I meant to do that already this week, but this week has been insane. So I'll do that next week. Brittany, I'll get you my notes. Because the pattern just repeats, I can tell immediately if I have any suggestions, etc. So the yarn that I am using is a yarn that has been living in my stash for maybe 3-4 years. It has been with me for a long time. It is a ball of Red Heart with Love in the colorway Papaya. It's kind of like the Karen Pantone color of the year for 2019, I think. It's 100% acrylic. It is a worsted weight yarn. Her pattern calls for sport weight yarn, and I tried to start it with some sport weight yarn, but again, I have never done any cables. So it didn't work out very well, and I was like, you know what, I just need to use bigger needles, and I need to use a thicker yarn. So what I have been doing is 1 repeat per day. And this is what it looks like. So I have this much. I think I have till the end of February to complete this. The only thing is I really don't know how long I want to make this. I've been debating just using the entire ball of yarn, because generally when people make cowls, they make them where they just go around once, but I prefer to have them much longer, and I prefer to double it. It makes me happier. So I think I'm just gonna keep going until I run out of yarn, which means I probably won't have it finished by the end of February if I do 1 repeat a day. But this is a close-up of the cable. This is what it looks like. It hasn't been blocked or anything like that, of course. But once it's blocked and it's stretched out like that, it'll look a lot better. My cabling is definitely getting better. I purchased a metal cable needle from my local yarn store stash because I have a plastic needle and it was driving me insane. Like, I just could not figure out my stitches. My tension was terrible. And of course that's because I haven't really done cables. But I have a question for the knitters out there. So my tension's pretty good, but after every cable repeat, you can see right here that the tension, like, there's all these holes. And it's only on that side, even though I'm working back and forth in rows. So is there a way to fix that? I have tried tugging my stitches and making them really tight right there, but then it just makes it really difficult to get over the join on my needles. These are ChowGoo red lace, by the way. 5.5 millimeter needles. So yeah, I don't know. Is there a way to fix those holes without just choking your yarn to death? I would have thought, I mean, I guess it's improved a little bit. It's not like, this is the bottom, that's how many holes there are, and this is the top. So it's definitely getting a little more even. Is that just something that comes with practice? I don't know. It's on every single cable, but it's very pretty. I love the color. It's definitely my color. So yeah, I've been doing 1 repeat a day, and you can tell this was week number 1. I did a couple extra repeats on week number 1 because I had to rip it out, and then I was trying to figure out what I was doing. But this is week number 2, and that's how far I have gone, 1 for every day. So I will keep working on that. It will be growing by probably 14 repeats by the next time you see it. It is living in this beautiful bag that has these beautiful pins on it that I love so much. So that is my test knit. Who knew that I was ever going to say that? Let's talk crochet cardigans. The first one I have made a tiny amount of progress on. It is living in my mustard amazing sweater bag that I got from Faye of the Crochet Circle podcast and the Knit It, Hook It, Craft It website. Love it so much. This is my soft gray cardigan. It is a Tunisian cardigan. That is what it's supposed to look like. By Cat Golden. And I am using Luette Gems yarn. This is a worsted weight yarn in the colorway Eggplant. I will for sure run out of yarn. This is how much I have left of the second skein. And I am not even done with one sleeve. Although I am getting closer. So this is how much I have done. This is what I had done last time. I had done all of the increases. So since then, I have put on this much, since this little stitch marker, in Tunisian knit stitch. I'm at the point where I think I have about 8 more centimeters to go. So what is that, like 3-ish inches? And I think I need to measure and find out exactly how long I want my sleeve to be, because it's getting pretty long, and I know this is superwash merino, so it's gonna grow in length a little bit. Although this is a raglan, so I do kind of need this to be up under here. But this, I mean, that's about 3 inches, so maybe I don't. Maybe I don't need to mess with the measurements of this after all. I am making the large size because this fabric is so thick, because it's Tunisian crochet and worsted weight. I'm making it to be more of like a coat instead of just a cardigan that I can throw on, because there's no way I'll be able to wear this like in normal life. So I am making the large instead of the medium. But this yarn did not want to be anything else but this cardigan. So if it turns out that when it's done I never wear it, I still don't know that I'll be disappointed because the yarn is so beautiful, and I swatched for like 3 other cardigans and it just was not working. But this yarn just wants to be Tunisian knit stitch. That's all I can say. So I do think it will fit when I'm done. I don't know. We'll see. It'll at least be a coat, and the color is amazing. So I've been putting on just a few rows each day. Not every day, because like I said, everything's been crazy, but slowly but surely. And that yarn has been in my stash for a year. So I'm happy to be using it. The second cardigan that I'm working on for my Love Your Stash Cow, and this one actually might have a chance of being finished by the end of the crochet along, living in this giant bag. This bag has been holding this yarn for 2 years almost, and it is Isaac Mizrahi. Well, it's gonna blow out. It's Isaac Mizrahi craft yarn that I got on sale for $1 per ball almost 2 years ago. You get 213 yards, but it's only 85 grams in these balls. And I don't know, this colorway is Beetle. It's a weird colorway name. And this red is Betty, Beetle and Betty. So I have 5 balls of this blue and 4 balls of the red. So far, I have used 2 entire balls of the red, 2 entire balls of the blue, and I just started my 3rd blue ball. So you guys have seen this before. This is the completed back piece of the cardigan, and I am striping this. That's not called for in the pattern. This is the Stark cardigan by KT and the Squid. So the back piece was already done. And then you guys saw this piece last time. I had completed one of the front panels, but just the striping part. So since then, I've put on the bottom border, and I'm about to start on there's like a collar. So I'm trying to decide if I want to weave in my ends before I start the collar or not, or just crochet over them. I haven't decided. So the collar is going to be blue. So it comes up here and then it actually extends past this and becomes like a neckband. So I have to do that one. But I also have completed the second panel and its bottom border. I finished this last night. So I have to do 2 collars. That's going to take forever. And then I have to decide what I am going to do with the sleeves. I believe I will have enough blue yarn. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to have enough blue yarn to do both sleeves out of plain blue. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to stripe them because the sleeves are made from the bottom up and they have a sleeve cap. So I may need to re-engineer the sleeves to work them from the top down so that I can stripe them and match the stripes to the body of the sweater, because if we're gonna be striping, like I can't have the stripes go in different places. That's not gonna work for me. So I think I'm gonna do the collar, and then I'm just gonna need to sit down and have a good think about what I'm gonna do with the sleeves, because I really don't think I'm gonna have enough blue yarn to do the entirely 2 sleeves, because that's only, I have 2 85-gram balls plus what's left of the 3rd ball, but for sure I think I'm going to use more than what's left of the 3rd ball for the collars on both of the sleeves, because you've got to do like 11 rows of 100 and something stitches, 120, 30-ish. So we'll see. It's being worked on slowly and steadily. I had a yarn winding party. I was feeling like very inspired, like pretty much immediately after I recorded. I'm pretty sure it was Saturday night, maybe, after I had posted the last episode. And I was like, I have some crazy ideas for new designs. I'm going to wind up all the yarn. Yes, I did have crazy ideas because none of them are working. So, and my creative energy this past 2 weeks has like left the building. And it's not that I don't want to create things. I just don't have like the brain space to do it, as is evidenced by last night, where it took me forever to do half a heel. I have only been focusing on things that require no concentration at all. Like, I have no inspiring ideas. I have no creative juices flowing. I have no ideas for designs. Like, basically everything has left the building, which is totally fine. Like, I understand why it is. I'm still recovering from some health issues that I had. I've been working a lot the last 2 weeks because I've been trying to catch up from the time that I took off. And also, I know this belongs in life update, but I'm doing a wedding tonight, and I am now an aunt. So my brother and his girlfriend had their baby, which I've been spending some time with them in the hospital. So there's a lot going on, basically, is what I'm saying. But still, I have basically frogged everything that I started, except for one thing. So in the giant box of yarn that was sent last week by an amazing viewer of this podcast, there were 2 skeins of yarn that were the Knit Crate, and I don't remember what the colorway name is, but this crazy orange. I love it. I love it. And I saw this and I immediately had an idea for a design. So I am about halfway through 1 ball of yarn. Although I am a little bit stuck because I'm now at the point where I have to do some math. And as I have mentioned, I don't have any math ability in my brain right now. So this is what the first part looks like. Let me make sure I'm on the right side. This is what it looks like. This is going to be a shawl. This is where I have to start doing math, right here. So, or decide where I'm going to go with this. So basically what you have is solid panels, and then this X, ooh, that's too close to the camera, it's blowing out. This X pattern in lace. So this is exactly how I wanted it to look. I'm just not sure where I want it to go from here. So I need to probably do some and then rip it out, and then do some and then rip it out. But I didn't have the emotional ability to just start doing this and rip it out again, because I've been ripping everything out. So she said I could do whatever I wanted with the other yarn, use it for prizes, keep it, doesn't matter. But this, I immediately had an idea for, and I was like, this has to be a design. This orange is amazing. So that's how far I am. I don't know what it's gonna be called. I don't know what the end product is going to look like. I just don't know. But that's okay, right? We've got plenty of time. So that's the one design that's actually working. The other two is I wound up this yarn. This is Sheep Happens yarn in her merino sock. The colorways are inside the balls. So I don't know what the colorways are, but this is her fingering weight yarn. It's 100% superwash merino. And I wound this up because I had an idea in my head for a short row shawl design. And I have swatched for this like 5 times now, and it does not work. Like, just the idea in my head, there is no way to make it work the way that I wanted it to. So this yarn is going to become something else. It will still be a design, but I just need to think about what it will be. It will be some kind of color work, like stripey design, but I don't think it's going to be what I originally intended it to be, because the way that I thought I could make the short rows work, I cannot. So that has been frogged approximately 3 times. And finally, living in my sheep bag that I made from fabric I got from the tea towel that I got from Ireland, is my Irish yarn that I picked up. I actually bought this in Edinburgh, but it was on the trip to the UK. It's Life in the Long Grass Studio, this yarn. And you can tell that this has been frogged as well because I had a lace design in mind for this. And it's not that the lace design didn't work. I just don't think it works for this yarn because this yarn is kind of tonal, but you can tell that it's got a lot of different colors. When it was in the skein, it looked a lot more solid, but because it's so variegated and tonal, the lace gets lost. So I actually have an idea kind of brewing in the back of my head for this, and this one is kind of multicolored as well, that will be a solid fabric, because that's what I really think this needs to be. I don't think it needs to be lace, because the lace gets lost and the yarn doesn't shine as well as it should either. So it's not a problem with the design necessarily, just the yarn choice, but these colors, you guys, I love it so much. I'm actually tossing around the idea of turning this into a Tunisian design, which I have never done before, but I have wanted to do for quite some time. So I don't know, we'll see when my mojo comes back. Maybe I can start on that. That's all the works in progress and things that have been started and frogged. But I actually have some sewing to show you. Yes, I have been sewing. I haven't sewn. I haven't had a lot of time. I haven't been in my house that long within the last 2 weeks. But you guys know that I bought this book with a gift card that I got for Christmas. I want this book. My goal for 2019 is to make clothing for myself. Things that I can wear, especially nerdy related clothing. So you guys saw the Harry Potter dress that I made last episode, and I will insert a picture because I finally got to wear it. I wore it to church. Everyone loved it. It has pockets. So I will insert a picture here of me wearing the dress. And so I have some Harry Potter knit fabric, and I have some Star Wars knit fabric that I got at Joann's that I want to make a dress out of. So I'm gonna make the Coco dress. That's also by Tilly and the Buttons. I'm going to make that dress out of the Harry Potter fabric. I just need to cut out the pattern. I've already pre-washed the fabric. But I wanted to practice on some knit fabric first before I did that, because I was kind of afraid to ruin the Harry Potter fabric. It was kind of expensive. So what I did is I made this, the Frankie baseball tee. And in hindsight, I don't know that this was the best fabric to start with, because the Harry Potter fabric is actually a thicker jersey, so it's a lot more stable than this, which is like the drapiest jersey fabric in the entire world. So this was a kind of a nightmare to cut out. I did manage, but at the same time, because it's so drapey and so stretchy, it's kind of forgiving. The cutting out of this fabric was actually much harder than the actual sewing, which I was afraid of sewing knit fabric, because everyone's always like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. The fabric like runs away from you. It's stretchy. It's hard to do. I didn't find the sewing difficult. The difficult part was cutting it and then pinning it in the correct. That took forever. The sewing took no time at all. I did this in one afternoon. It took maybe 3 hours, which is kind of a lot for a shirt with 1, 2, 4, 5 pieces. But that's okay. It was my very first one. this is what it looks like. So I just had this purple knit fabric. You can see that it has a high-low hem, so in the front it's kind of straight across, and in the back it dips down like that. I love this style. I'm definitely going to be making more of these because this is the kind of thing I want to wear. I did the 3/4 length sleeve option, which, as we have discussed, is not, because I have apparently hobbit arms, it's like too far down to be flattering, so I generally roll it up to the elbow. But I actually like how that looks too. This is the neckline. It's kind of high-low as well. You can see my top stitching is not the best, but I got thread that match, so you can't really tell. This is the inside of the neckline. So yeah, the neckline worked the first time I put it on, which is a good thing because I didn't baste it. I thought I was basting it in place, but I was not. I was sewing it down. So the neckline is a little taller than it's supposed to be, actually. And I don't have a serger or anything like that. So my inside seams, like you can see, are just kind of raw. They're raw edges. They're not overlocked or anything like that. But that's fine. This fabric's not going to unravel. So I love this shirt. I love it. I want to make so many more of them. I have worn this 3 times already, and I've only had this for a week. So yeah, I'm very excited. I highly recommend the pattern. The book comes with these pattern pieces like for you, for all the patterns in the book. So you have to lay it out and then trace the size that you want. So I just trace it on regular tracing paper and then cut out the fabric from there. And they're all in this little pocket in the back of the book. So the next project I'm going to make is going to be the Cocoa dress out of the Harry Potter fabric. I hope that I'll have that done next week. I don't know. I still haven't cut out the pattern. But I'm very excited. That's 2 garments I have made in by February. And I also got some goodies in the mail that I want to share with you. I need a sip. What is going on today? I don't have any creative energy. Apparently, I don't have any mental energy at all. So I got another prize for the Love Your Stash Cow, and this is it's so exciting. It was from a lovely, lovely viewer of this podcast named Bethany, and she contacted me and said she had one of these and sent me a picture, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, and then she sent it, and I was like, oh, that is cool. Look at this. This is a crochet planner. I have never seen anything like this, actually. It is huge, and it has stickers. It has pockets. It has a big old zip pocket you can put hooks in. It has a reference guide at the front, and then it has like a project list of things you want to start, and then project pages. You can have an inventory and a swatch. There's a swatch section, and then for every month of the year, so January, February, March, you have a calendar where you can write all your goals, and then you have a week. So if you have specific weekly goals, etc., you can write all of that down. And a nose page like this. It's beautiful. And this is put out by Boy, so Simplicity Yarn Crafts. So I'm sure if you look online, you can get one of these. It's just called the Crochet Planner. This thing is incredible. I am so excited to have this for a prize. This is definitely going to be a prize for the Love Your Stash Cow, and it will definitely be for one of the finished objects. And to go with it, she said that I can do basically whatever I want with this yarn, but this yarn is spectacular, and I think it deserves to be with this book. She sent me a yarn that she is not using that has been in her stash that I have never seen before. It's called Kaleidoscope. Look at that color. This yarn is 100% acrylic. You get 200 grams, 203 yards, so it's a bulky weight yarn. And she sent 2 of them. And these are heavy skeins, like these are very dense. And I cannot get over the colors. They're amazing. And it's very soft. Like I totally think you could make an amazing cowl with this, or an amazing hat. I would be tempted to keep this and make a design out of it, except that I don't know, like she got it from a local store, and the receipt, she sent the receipt with it, so if you wanted to contact that local store, you could, if you wanted more, you could try to get more. But this is not a yarn that I have ever seen before, so I think it would be better to be given a home by somebody who will love it and use it and wear it than if I put it in a design and then no one can get a hold of it. So I think this yarn is amazing. Thank you, Bethany. So this is definitely going to be together one prize for the Love Your Stash Cow. Then I got a giant stack of books in the mail. Ooh, from Susan, who is a viewer of this podcast. Hi, Susan. She contacted me because she has been catching up on old episodes, and she said that she had some stitch pattern dictionaries and some old kind of crochet pamphlets, knitting pamphlets that she's just been keeping and not using, and she wondered if I could make use of them because they're things that you cannot get anymore. And I was like, sure, I would love to. And she wrote a very sweet note. So I'm just going to show them to you. I honestly, because everything has been so crazy, have not been able to look at these in depth, but you guys are going to be impressed. So there's 2 of these little bitty learn how to books. They're both crochet, and they're 29 cents. Like, how long ago could you get this for 29 cents? So it's got black and white gloves, like all kinds of crazy things. There is an easy to sew toys and gifts one, which is so cute. And they're all in these sleeve protectors, which I think is so fabulous. There is modern crochet. That's funny because it's this. That's not what we would consider modern crochet, but I'm sure it was back when this was published. There is fashion in quick crochet, and it has on the back, I think that is really pretty. There is a whole book of pineapple designs, so basically lace, crochet lace. There is a whole book of 100 useful edgings. Another book of edgings. This book cost 10 cents back when it was published. Another book of edgings, and look at that one. That's really pretty. There is a filet crochet and cross stitch book. Like, that is incredible. I don't think I would ever have the patience to do that. Crochet edges, insertions, and medallions. That's funny. There is another book of 100 edgings and crochet novelties. This made me laugh out loud. This also was 10 cents. Look at the title. Can you imagine crocheting yourself a negligee? There's another book of edgings. And then, just as a bonus, she sent 3 adult coloring books, which I thought was really sweet. And this one says, be happy. This one says, life is beautiful. And this one is just inspirational quotes. And so I'm gonna, I have a few adult coloring books that I use pretty rarely because I mostly spend time crocheting, but I have a few. So I'm gonna put these in the prize stash for the crochet alongs that we are hosting as well, because I love adult coloring books. I think that's fabulous. So Susan, how did you even get all of those? I've never seen anything like them. They're amazing. So I'm thrilled to be able to go look through them and hopefully use them in my design work. And if there's one that I can't use, then I will pass it along to you guys. And finally, something came in the mail that I ordered, but it came with extra surprises, which I was not expecting. So Allie, who is the maker, creator behind the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast on YouTube, which is such a fabulous podcast. I watch it every single time it comes out. I watch all of her Vlogmas videos. She designed an enamel pin, which I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but you can hopefully tell that it's a little bit, it's like a little raindrop falling on an umbrella, and all of the little raindrops around it have sad faces. But this raindrop has a happy face, and the text says, you are a little drop of wonderful. So she designed this pin herself. And when I'll put a link to her Etsy shop down below, although I'm sure her pins have sold out. When she had an initial pile of these pins, I was too late. I watched the podcast episode like 4 days late, and of course they were all sold out. But then she had a pre-order where she was going to get some more, and so I managed to snag one of those. So this was like back in December. I was like, oh my gosh, I need one of these pins. So I ordered that, and I have been waiting for it to come in. So I was very excited when it showed up. But she sent me some other stuff, which you did not have to do, Allie. I feel like you didn't make any money at all. I was trying to support your podcast. I am the proud owner of my very own dodgy bag. You guys, this is so exciting. She is the creator of the dodgy bag and the dodgy bag make-along, which was hosted by Allie and Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast. So she made me my very own dodgy bag. It's the nicest thing in the world. And I have a member of the Dodgy Bag Club pin. So exciting. She sent some beautiful tea. She actually sent some Scottish like caramel chocolate biscuits. There were 4. I ate one. I have been restraining myself so that I could show you this on the podcast. I'm going to eat one while I'm editing this, I promise you. And I let my husband try it, and he said it was delicious. And then some beautiful fabric. 2 little fat quarters that will definitely be made into a bag. So, and she wrote the sweetest note. This is the inside. I love that fabric. It's so pretty. I love the way that you put colors together. I had a pretty long day because, you know, the last couple weeks have been crazy. I have been trying to be positive, but it's been a little difficult because the health issues I had at the beginning of the year are just taking longer to resolve than I want them to. Everything is moving in the right direction. It's not, everything's fine. It's just I thought it would be over by now and I would be back to 100%, and I'm not. It's going to be a couple more weeks. So I was very grumpy about that, essentially. And there's just been a lot of work going on, trying to catch up. So I came home and I was like, what is this package? Like, I don't remember ordering anything. And then I figured out who it was from, and I was like, why is there so much stuff in it? And I opened this, and it just made my whole day, and I love it so much, and I want to put something in here immediately. I can't believe I have my very own dodgy bag. And I just want to say, Allie, thank you. You are so sweet. I love your podcast. I'm so happy we're friends. I look forward to seeing you every time you upload an episode, and every time I use this bag, I will think of you. Thank you. That was so nice of you. I'm looking around. Is that all? I feel like that was a lot. Life update. You kind of have already gotten. I've been working a lot. I have, all of my mental energy has left the room. I am going to be editing this pretty quickly and getting it up immediately because we are going to go, of course, to the rehearsal dinner for the wedding that I am performing tomorrow night. So I've got the vows all done and order of service, etc. So we're going to go over all of that. It's for a couple of our dear, dear friends. So it's such a privilege to be able to marry them. And honestly, this is my first wedding that I have ever done. So that's pretty exciting. And then, so the wedding is tomorrow. And my brother and his girlfriend had their baby this last week. So she's so beautiful. She's so tiny and beautiful. And so I've been spending some time with them and loving every minute of it. And my brother's always like, do you want to hold the baby? And I'm like, yes, 100%. I'm an aunt now. Which of course I was already a little bit because my brother's sister, so my sister-in-law, they have a beautiful baby boy. But now I'm an aunt twice, which is very exciting. And they live in South Carolina, so I don't really get to see them very much, maybe like once a year. But my brother lives with me, so I get to see that baby a lot. And I just want to say, before we wrap up the episode, a couple of things. Now, this will probably be the last episode that I dedicate an entire segment to this, simply because I know these episodes are getting really long. The last 2 episodes have been insanely long, which I know is a lot for you to watch, and it's a lot for me to edit and get up onto the interweb. And this won't be the last time I talk about this, for sure, but maybe the last time, for now, that I dedicate an entire segment to it. And it is just to say a few more things about our conversation about race and inclusion in the knitting and crochet community. So this is a conversation that's been going on Instagram. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go on Instagram. You can definitely find out. But also you can watch my last podcast episode and the one before that. And I will link to the Quirky Monday Craftcast, who is hosted by Caleisha, who is the best person. She has said things much, much more eloquently than I ever could. So I just wanted to say a couple of kind of closing thoughts. Number one, I should have mentioned this last time, and I just wasn't thinking about it, because I know a lot of you commented and said this particular phrase. And it's something that I've said or have heard a lot in the past, and I don't know that if you're not a person of color, if you necessarily know the effect that those words can have. And the phrase that I'm referring to is when you say, I don't see color. Now, I assume and I hope that what you mean by that is a person's color has no bearing on how I treat them or view them as a human being, how I interact with them in real life, etc. It doesn't matter what color they are. I accept them. I want to interact with them. It's great. I assume that that's what you mean by that. And I know most people who say that, that's what they mean. But it would be better if you just said that. If you say a person's color has no bearing on how I treat them. Because if you say something like I don't see color, to the person on the other end, you're invalidating their entire life experience, essentially. So like if in my job, which is entirely male dominated, it would be like someone saying to me, I don't see gender. Okay, well, first of all, you can't not see gender because obviously I am a woman and you're a guy. Like, of course, if by that you mean your gender does not affect how I view you in your role and position, then yes, I agree with you. But if you say something like I don't see gender, and then I'm immediately like, well, but I'm a woman, and because of that, I have very unique perspectives on this situation, on all situations. I'm going to react to things like a woman, I think like a woman, etc. So for someone to say I don't see gender would make me feel like, does that mean you don't care about my lived experiences? Like, my lived experiences make me who I am. And it's the same thing kind of for people of color. So if you say I don't see color, then basically you're saying I don't see the experiences that have made you who you are. And I know, as I said, I assume you don't mean that. That's not what you mean. But maybe just try to say it in a different way. Because if you're a person who says that, just know that on the other end, a person may not be, they may not feel very validated or secure that you said that, because of course they've lived their whole life being a person of color, and they have many experiences that have made them who they are as a person today. So I'm sure that was not eloquent at all, the way I explained that, but I just felt like I should say something because I know a lot of you said that, and I don't want you to feel like I'm beating you up. You don't know what you don't know, right? So now you know. So maybe just phrase your words a little bit differently. And the other thing I wanted to say is it's about where you spend your money and who you support with your dollars. So I don't know any person of color who is going to say, I want you to support my business just because I am a person of color, any more than I would want to say, I want you to support my business because I'm white. That is ridiculous. Nobody thinks like that, I hope. However, the issue is about representation. So if when I go to buy yarn, I am only looking in a pool of yarn dyers that look exactly like me, then I will never have an opportunity to buy yarn from a diverse audience. If when I go to find a shawl pattern or a hat pattern or a sweater pattern, I am only looking at white designers, I will never have the opportunity to support other designers of color because I can't, what they are creating is not in my field of vision. And the same goes for makers of any kind. If my pool is not diverse, the pool that I am pulling from when I purchase things, then they never have an opportunity to even compete. And representation is a big problem. So for the major magazines, the major publications, the major design companies, a lot of the designers, most of the designers are white. Most of the pictures of the models are white, and they're all one size and they're all one age. So there's not diversity in the pool that I am pulling from when I'm purchasing things. So I'm not saying you need to be intentional when you spend your money. Say I have $50 and I'm gonna buy 2 skeins of hand-dyed yarn. It's perfectly okay if you wanna go support any maker or a dyer that you want. But if you don't know who you're already going to support, you should intentionally expand your audience. So if I have 10 dyers that I'm like, these are my favorite dyers, and they're all exactly like me, then I need to intentionally expand and add another 10 that aren't like me, so that when I want to go and purchase, when I want to support someone with my dollars, I can look at the diverse things that have been created by the diverse people that are out there in the world. And maybe I never knew about this amazing, amazing yarn that was being dyed by someone else just because they weren't in my pool. So if you are looking to expand your horizons, your scope when you're going to spend your money, all you need to do is just fill up your feed, make your feed more diverse. So you can do this in a couple of ways. There's a hashtag diversity. I can't say it. I'll put it on the screen. Diversity that has many makers of color, and not just makers of color, but people of all over the world who are diverse. That is a wonderful hashtag to follow. You can also follow the Meet Makers of Color Instagram account. They are showcasing so many amazing makers of color who are doing all kinds of things. They're pattern designers, they are yarn dyers, they're bag makers, they crochet, they knit, they sew, they do all kinds of things. So it doesn't matter what craft you are doing, I'm sure you could find somebody who looks different than you doing the same craft in that Instagram account, which I will leave a link to directly below. So definitely go follow the Meet Makers of Color Instagram account if you have Instagram. Otherwise, just be intentional. So if you're looking for a sweater pattern, maybe don't stop on the first page of Ravelry, the top 10 designs for crochet sweaters. Go a little deeper, do a little Googling, and see if you can expand the scope, because there may be a sweater that you've never seen before that blows your mind, right? And you would have never gotten that because it just wasn't in your field of view. So that's all I'm saying, is expand your scope. If you expand the scope of your view, then you will be exposed to some amazing and beautiful things. You don't need to go out and buy something unless you totally can. If you want to spend your money only on makers of color, that's completely fine. But if you don't know where you're going to spend your money, the issue is lack of representation. It's not that we're spending money just only on specific things because if I only buy patterns from like 2 people, that doesn't mean that I'm discriminating necessarily. It just means that my scope is not big enough to see the amazing things that other people have created. And this is an issue for people of color because they're not represented. So we have to be intentional about finding them so that they can have equal representation with me. Like if you only have $1 to spend and my pattern costs $1 and a person of color's pattern costs $1, go buy their pattern instead, because I guarantee you that they haven't had the same representation. Not that I have like great representation, but I don't know. I feel like what I'm saying is not coming out correctly. Like last podcast episode, I was like, you know what? Talking so nicely, everything makes sense. No, not today. Not this entire week, perhaps. So that's all I'm saying, is the issue is representation. So just expand your scope. Go follow Meet Makers of Color. Go follow Caleisha of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. And I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys for being so welcoming and so open and so polite and so thoughtful in your comments on the last podcast episode. I did say if there was any nastiness, I was going to delete it, because I am very protective of this space. Like I want this to be a safe space for everyone, and my Instagram account and my Facebook and my Ravelry group. Just because I don't respond does not mean I do not read. So I promise you, if someone is being mean to another person, I will not put up with that for any reason. However, on the last podcast episode, despite the fact that there's like 300 comments, there were only 2 comments that I had to delete. And they were not towards anybody else. They were actually people being kind of rude to me, which I don't care about. I'm not saying this so you'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. No, I put myself out on the internet. Like, I get it. I am opening myself up to the trolls. And don't feed the trolls. That's why you don't respond to them. But they were both in reference to my job, not in reference to any people of color, not in reference to... Nobody said anything that I considered especially hurtful or nasty or mean. And I am just so grateful for the community that you guys created, because all I'm doing is sitting in front of a camera and talking to you. but you guys are the ones who leave the most thoughtful, the most wonderful comments. You're the ones who are so supportive. You support me in the Ravelry group. You support the people that I bring to you. You support my designs. You support my Instagram. Like, I would not be here without you. And I am so, so grateful to be surrounded by a amazing subscriber base that believes in the same thing that I believe in, which is crafting, mental health, diversity, inclusion, and creating a safe and warm space. And I just want to say thank you so much to you guys, because you have protected that, you have enabled that, and you have confirmed to me that this is something worth doing, because you guys are you're just the best. Is there any other way to say that? You're just the best. I'm so grateful for you. I better stop there before I get sappy. So don't forget, go to the Ravelry group and write in there a link to your favorite charity that accepts handmade items that you love to support, so that you can be entered to win these 2 amazing skeins of pink hand spun yarn. And don't forget to post your finished objects in the Love Your Stash Cal finished objects thread and on Instagram. If you're making socks, go ahead and post those as well. And we will start this Spread the Warmth Mal on March 1st. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Until I see you again, happy crafting. Take care of yourself. I love you so much. Bye.